And now, the Deep Homie Guide to the 21st Century.
Yeah. Back at the pod. Deep Homie Guide. What's up, world? Hello and greetings from the Deep Homie Guide to you. My name is Karam, and today I'm in the studio with my good friend P. Daddy Woods, co-host of the Deep Homie Guide.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And Zach Edward. What's up? What's up, dude?
Hello, internet.
Hello.
Greetings. I can't do it with the right hand. I got to do it with the left.
You can't. I can do it with both.
I can't do it. No, I think it's just these like really bad genes.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
Not
it's weird. I
difficult.
can't get this. I can't get the ring finger to touch the pinky. It just you know. So I Star Trek with
So
this
Zach
hand.
Edward
and then,
has physical things that happen here and there.
Got a couple.
Thank you for informing us.
Peccadillos.
So Zach Edward, you're a funny guy. You're a local comedian here in Syracuse, along with me and P. We know you from the open mics and the shows, and you're also the co-host of the Wine Boyz podcast, variety show. But also, you guys taste wine, test wine, and talk about wine on there, right?
Correct. Yeah, it kind of just became a thing where like my buddy was watching. Gary Vaynerchuk. Like the
Gary V.
Gary V. Like the
Motivational man.
I thought you knew everything.
Money man.
That's why I was looking at you. But I'll go. I'm gonna divert to Karen.
He knows
Yeah,
about
yeah.
pop culture, everything.
Oh yes, no. This guy's like a marketing whiz.
Yeah.
And my buddy one day is just like, I get obsessed with these videos, man. He talks about wine and how much he loves wine. Why can't we do that? I go, we should do that.
Yeah.
And then we both we got a good rapport with one another, so we just made a podcast that was like focused on wine, but basically through through doing it and drinking a lot of wine. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's not a lot. It's a lot of wine. But now
At least it's not a box of wine, right? You guys are a little more highfalutin.
Well, we do have some episodes. We do some bum wine episodes where we have to. Like we've drank Wild Irish Rose in a couple episodes. We have a Thunderbird episode coming up because I really want to know what it's like to live under a bridge at some point because there's a potential. You don't know.
There's a potential for anything, man.
Exactly. So you need to be prepared. That's what I always say.
You got to be prepared. That was like the Boy Scout motto and everything.
Be prepared for the worst. Think the best, prepare for the worst.
I don't know if they were prepared for the lawsuits, but
well, I mean, that's a whole different story. And luckily, I got out before that happened. So I mean, because I was
like-
looking delicious to those guys for sure.
Thunderbird a really bad wine? Is that what that is?
Thunderbird is
it's a bad wine.
Think of it as like
it's a bad wine.
I think it's $3.99 a bottle.
Okay, does that pair well with Velveeta? Or
You
what
know
do
what? I think it
Yes.
might,
Or
but
just
not
cheese
even.
whiz.
But not even like the actual brand of Velveeta, like the store brand
Yeah, that's
Velveeta.
right.
Like,
Knockoff
that's
Velveeta, all
facts.
right.
yeah, knockoff. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what you would call that.
All the way.
Folita.
Will you drink a Franzia at this point? Like
Oh,
if
yeah,
you
for
went to
sure.
a party and there was a Franzia, how badly would you have to
so-
hold your nose?
It's not that. Honestly, Franzia is not that bad.
I never thought it was that bad.
But I was
never a wine slob.
Yeah, slob.
Oh, snob. I never poured it all over myself
Now,
in the
if you
bathtub.
if you're drinking Thunderbird, you are in fact a wine slob. But
I thought it would be like a lush. Wouldn't that be the right term?
yeah, look at this guy. Look at this. He's drank a couple glasses of wine in his day.
I would sit
Yeah.
down a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Proud of you, buddy. Proud of you.
Yeah, it was good. So, but what we've been doing too is we'll take wine suggestions from the from Boys Nation, as we like to call them.
You got your shirt on, right?
Yeah, I do. I got
Show the homies.
Can I pull some merch? Yeah.
Oh.
All of this can
Just
be
give 'em a
yours.
taste.
The
Yeah.
Clark Kent of
Just
the
say, let me get
Wine
a little,
Boys.
get a little nipple in there.
little
Yep, okay,
taste,
there we
yeah.
go.
Let's go, dude.
Yep.
Not the whole shirt.
Not the whole shirt. Just so
Just
you
a
know.
little idea.
If you want to go to our website, you can check it out. It's in the link in the bio of my Instagram and Twitter. So
Could you? What's your
it's
handle?
at the Zach Edward because some other Zach Edward was being a
Tisk.
yeah. He's like, I'll be the only one, and I was like, I'll be
Aye.
So I love that though. Like the Zach Edward. It's like I am the only one. It's very Highlander, like just
The Zach Edward.
yeah.
Yeah, just like Gary Vee likes to talk about the blue check too. He likes to talk about the blue.
He
That's
loves
next
the very
for you, right?
well.
You're waiting for the blue check.
He's
mark.
also a deep investor into Twitter, so it's like
he's pushing
I
that.
think he just pushes all of like the big issues of like what he's invested in, which I get. That's marketing 101. Like
Yeah.
be the brand on anything, everything.
Well,
Twitter, whatever
he's such
you're
a good
invested
brander
in.
too, and he's such a good marketer. Like he's the one that got me all hyped up on NFTs, and he had a point though because it's been a bubble since. I mean, Beeple's NFTs have only sold for more and more. It seems like every week you log in, it's like, oh, this time I went for 60 million. Whoa, used to be $1 million. It used to be 500,000. It used to be 400. So he turned me on to all that stuff. So thanks, Gary Vee.
He gets a lot of people hype on things, and I get it. The guy's a master motivator. It's just like some of the things that he says, though.
They do like seminars and stuff, like Tony Robbins type stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's in that stratosphere.
You can't do it.
Yeah,
you can't. Everybody repeats in the arena.
I'm like positive he sold out like Radio City Music Hall in like New York. Like he's one of those guys. Like
build your brand.
Yeah,
follow your passion.
He's exactly that. He's just a hype.
Be your own vision.
Yeah.
Forget your father. Forget your mother.
Yeah.
Build anew.
Yeah.
What does Matthew McConaughey say? I think it's Matthew McConaughey's got like a quote of saying like, my idol is never someone else. My idol is me in 3 years or 5 years or something along those lines.
God, that guy's so fucking cool, man.
I know.
Like,
he is.
There's no way anybody else can be that cool. Like I look far and wide as somebody that's like moderately to not cool. Like I just want to make sure that I could get to that level someday. But it's like I just need to figure it out. I don't know what it is. Better hair, get a Texas accent. Like I don't know. Be an actor.
The Texas charm is definitely part of it, though, right?
I mean, I've only been to Texas once, but there is something about their version of that hospitality is just like methodical, slow talking, just like, you like barbecue, son? Let me show you this barbecue place that I like to go to. And it's like,
I feel like
I was like, I can't tell if this guy's trying to put me to sleep or like if he wants to go eat some food. Like,
yeah, I was surprised though. I mean, there definitely are pockets like that in Texas, but there's also massive pockets in Texas where they don't sound any different at all, like especially like Dallas, Austin. Sure, there's cowboys and stuff like that are for some reason, hey, how you doing, boy? But I don't know if that's because I was not.
Did you just steal something? Why does he say it like that? Like, what are you doing here,
so
boy?
There's pockets of Texas that they're just like, well, howdy, partner. How are you today? Sure glad to see you in these parts.
They gave me a hard time when I was in the Panhandle. The Panhandle.
Oh, yeah.
Now which is like that area of Texas, like just south of Oklahoma on the far west.
You can talk like that.
So what you're trying to tell me is it's actually Oklahoma's Panhandle, right?
No, both of them are part of the Panhandle. It's like a weird shit.
But the Panhandle is Oklahoma's Panhandle, right? Am I right?
I don't know if it's like
the shape of Oklahoma. There's a Panhandle.
So is Texas, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
But Texas, no, I'm saying like. If you're really close to the border,
maybe. Yeah, maybe it's just the Panhandle region from Oklahoma, as you say.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
You're right. But yeah. Anywho,
I did need a geography lesson, so it worked out.
You get it, right?
I did. I needed one because I'm horrible.
Here's a question.
I'm good at like
how many states
the
have
United
panhandles?
States. How many?
Florida has a panhandle.
Florida has a panhandle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Texas.
Oklahoma. But I think that's really it, honestly.
Wow.
Is there more?
I mean, sure, I could be wrong for sure.
I
was just wrong.
Do you know
about
the answer to
begin
this?
With.
We have to say, do you know the answer to this question?
No, I didn't do research beforehand. I just was.
I don't look. If anyone's ever thinking about going to the Panhandle of Oklahoma into Texas region, let me just say I rode my good bicycle across the entire United States a few years ago. And I went through that area, and I would thoroughly recommend avoiding it. Not really, because the people were necessarily like whatever. Although they did have that accent, but like it was just the thing is that's where there's so much livestock in the United States. There's just endless feedlots like that, like PETA propaganda type stuff. That's where it comes from. You got endless feedlots, just shit and cows all behind these. It's sad, man. Even if you do eat meat, you're like, oh man, I wish these guys could these cows could graze or something.
So the sound in the distance is animal torture.
There's animals tortured for miles, and the stench would blow your mind for miles, and the insects are like so much larger. For miles, just because they're like eating these cows. So I cannot recommend that area of the country. It's one of the few areas in this entire beautiful country.
Were you like pulled off on the side of the road, and did you like sit on like one of those fences, kind of looking up while eating a cheeseburger and looking out and just being like, "That's a shame."
Yeah, he did that.
That's a
for miles.
That's a shame.
I was trying to just like invent a quick like callback that I just keep using.
Yeah. You got it. We were gonna be able to do it for days and days.
Miles.
And for miles. I wish I had a best friend named Miles. So like he got injured, but we were both on a sports team together. So that at like the end of the championship game, it's halftime, and I give a rousing speech to my friends and my teammates, and I'd let them all know that we got to go win this one. Do you know why? For miles.
Oh God. All right, so boys, this has been a big week in this modern era because Derek Chauvin was convicted. in Minneapolis. Big decision for George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, and it is a big deal, man. It's a big deal. Thoughts, opinions? Who wants to stick their neck out first?
I'll do it. Sure.
He's a white supremacist.
You, sir.
I got enough melanin to say that. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's fine because I mean, to be fair, like I would definitely be the first person they look to recruit. It's like he looks like really like he looks somebody that we can mold into exactly what we want. He looks childlike and innocent. He looks like he was bullied in high school. Let's get him over here. And we can put our thoughts and oppress him. So basically, what I mean. It's a big decision. I don't even think necessarily like it is a big decision for the Black Lives Matter movement. I think it's a huge decision for infrastructure for the police. Like this man is doing time for something that police officers literally do all the time. And it's like maybe this would be a really good way to set precedents because that's how the judicial system works, like precedent based on what has happened before. So it's like just if we could we could use that as the life lesson to start maybe some legitimate change. But I mean, this is the first step in like a very long set of rules and regulations that have to still get kind of like figured out. But
well, for a long time, there's been qualified immunity essentially, or whether de facto or whatever or not, right? So like this is a monumental decision that like, okay, the officer is definitely criminally liable for this killing of the suspect. In the past, the qualified immunity would basically mean like, hey, as long as he was semi within range of trying to enforce. Like he's off the hook.
Okay, I was going to ask you to define qualifying.
I believe that's sort of been the
gist of it.
That's
the gist and the energy of the courts for the last many years.
Yeah, I mean, there's that's a pretty good summation of like the whole thing. And there's also a lot of power in like police unions too. Like that's the big thing is like because they give these unions the ridiculous overlying power. They actually have more power than like the chiefs of most of the offices. It's
Zach, how did you hear about like things like that, the police union, things like that?
Reading the internet.
Okay, reading the internet. I heard about an organization called 8 That Can't Wait. I believe it was the name of it, and I don't remember every detail about who runs it or whatever.
And I could say,
but it was about change in police union, police bill of rights, all those things, which are different state to state, city to city, all those things. So
it's very different too. Like, oops, I lost you there for a second. There was a lot of talking points when it came to like unionization and figuring out it actually became a situation where the unions came to be because it was honestly just for just wages and figuring out a way to.
So it was a labor union at first.
Exactly. It started as a labor union, but then it's then kind of ballooned into this almost power struggle because it went from like we want fair and equal pay and based on what type of work that we're doing because we're legitimately putting our lives on the line every single day. Then became this issue of like politics and propaganda, where it's just like he who speaks loudest will get
that's what happens to
them.
anything. Just like the teacher unions, I'm sure at first were probably mostly labor based, right?
Yeah.
Because for a long time teachers were underpaid in the United States. Many states they still are. But at any rate, obviously it's like bloated and gotten itself
and then
entrenched, and now they're trying to buy politicians up.
Exactly.
Just like the police union probably.
And then Kyle's mom comes in with brownies and she wins the election. It's like ridiculous. Like
Kyle Rittenhouse?
No, I'm talking about like an actual kid named Kyle's mom comes into the PTA meeting. It's just like, you guys want some brownies? And it's like, what's in the brownies, Kyle's mom? Everybody feels really good right now. And then she becomes the PTA president. So it's it's basically
involved.
Just like that.
It's totally like it.
I found it a little bit illuminating. I don't pretend to be an expert on this stuff, but hearing that, like, police actually, in some states and in some situations, their union has fought for a policemen's bill of rights. That like they have another set of
more
protection.
Qualified immunity, more immunity, right?
Yeah, kind of getting at exactly what you just said, qualified immunity. So but it's very interesting that that's what people are fighting for change, and it's really interesting.
Yeah,
so you're saying it's sort of like the people versus the union a little bit here.
Yeah, and I remember that. I think if I have the name right of the organization, it was called 8 That Can't Wait. Is the 8 things they want to see changed nationwide. Mm-hmm. And if you were like maybe a person who's going, okay, so police brutality, but what do they want? How do they want to fix it? This was an argument that I heard kind of laid out of hey, this is what people are actually arguing about and why they want to see change and how they want to see change happen, which is actually, I think, a productive conversation.
So, like,
even if you don't agree
so,
with
like,
every single idea.
I guess the George Floyd case was like so egregious, and the fact that it was caught on video is so a wonderful element of this modern era where everybody has a high definition or even 4K like camera device to pick up what's going on around them.
Yeah.
So like a lot of this stuff, like especially I guess, it's just gone sight unseen, right? I'm sure for a long time, a lot of this police abuse of people of color, people in the city, and all that other stuff. But like, it's that was such an egregious thing. One question that I never had answered with the whole George Floyd Derek Chauvin case was the fact, and this is known, right, that Derek Chauvin and George Floyd did work at the same strip club or some other place at some time. Did you know that?
So I thought that was kind of like a debunked thing at this point.
I thought it was debunked that they didn't work together, but they definitely worked at the same time.
So my understanding of it is that they crossed paths in some fashion. I don't know exactly how. Obviously, this wasn't anything that was like premeditated by any means. It was just a policeman using excessive force, which is unfortunately all too common, especially in policing. But I would be a little bit more curious to kind of dig deeper on that, because I don't think it's probably just another story to keep this like in the news cycle. I mean, I kind of think of it that way too.
Newsweek literally reported it has now emerged Floyd and Chauvin were colleagues at one stage, with the former working as a bouncer, the later working as an off-duty security guard outside the venue. So Chauvin was the off-duty security guard, Floyd was the bouncer.
Yeah.
When you say off-duty, that means I'm a police officer who's off-duty, and my off-duty job is security?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
just a really interesting term.
It's ironic that he becomes a rent-a-cop after being a cop. Like it's
they were working together at the same time. It's just that Chauvin worked outside, the security guards were inside. So I don't know. I don't know if it means anything. I guess nobody really made a stink about that. But it's, to me, I'm not even trying to cast a spit. I mean, it was egregious no matter what way you slice it. How do you put your knee on somebody's neck in that situation? I mean, I get he was yelling, "I can't breathe." Basically, way before the thing was started to shoot the video, and way before the knee was on the neck. That's fair. But at the same time, how do you do that? How do you put a knee in somebody's neck when there's like 1,000 police officers or 5 or 6, and there's one dude, and sure, he's a big dude, but it was so egregious that I gotta say, Chauvin, sorry, dog, but you're gonna have to go into the prison for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, like, you don't know why anybody would do anything, And the defense's argument, which they literally just said like 3 different ways through a very long closing argument, which was basically just, now look at the struggle in the car. Here's 15 angles, and that's it. It's like, okay, like we've been seeing the same footage for a year.
It was very obvious that the defense was very anemic. They called way fewer witnesses.
Yeah.
And part of that, I mean, to play devil's advocate on the other side, which I'm not on the other side, I think that Chauvin should have gone to prison. But people were scared to come out like and try to be like expert witnesses against Floyd or whatever. Nobody wanted to come. There was so much, and this could be a mistrial even, because there was even one of the jurors has been quoted as saying like, I felt so much pressure to go in one direction, and I think it was the right decision, but I think there was a ton of mob like pressure on
because of the public outcry.
Because of the public outcry.
One of the most public. Like, can I say murder? Because it's been a conviction.
It's been a conviction.
Most public murders in probably human history.
It's possible they could get a mistrial on it and come back and do it again.
And I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand how.
But it wasn't it wasn't a big defense. Like, I think the one side called over 40 witnesses, and the other side called like 7.
Yeah,
like it was just like anemic. You know what I mean? There was nobody that wanted to show up. There was a few people that wanted to show up and be like, well, I looked at the autopsy and Chauvin was and whatever, fentanyl, but nobody wanted to say that.
Yeah, nobody wanted to talk about like there was less fact-based argument from the defense side of it that I thought there would be, and I was just like, so we're just looking at body cam footage in a shaky police car? Like, is that all? I don't think
they could get the experts that could have helped them. Probably just were like, listen, dog,
no, it's not worth. I'm
not sticking my neck out for this guy.
Because it's public
situation.
image. Yeah, public. You would be. I mean, I guess it's not surprising that public image and issue is like a huge thing in our society today. Like,
it's huge. It's blown up by social media.
Exactly.
The 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
So I think that it's just. So let's pivot then. I guess we all are more or less in agreement. Although, Paul, you're saying you see in your newsfeed a lot of conservatives who are very upset about.
I was a little shocked.
That's
by
what you mentioned to me.
Like, so can I like flesh out a little bit of an interesting thing to me? Is that sometimes I'll hear people be like, was it Breonna Taylor who very sadly got killed in what seems like Just a
the
terrible
It was
situation.
the no-knock warrant situation.
Yeah, and then when that went to trial, the police officers who actually fired the weapons were essentially got off. Am I correct?
I believe they essentially got off.
Okay. So if your defense, as just your average everyday kind of more maybe potentially conservative leaning person, going, hey, the jury system, the court system worked, right? Court system worked. That's what your defense is. Then how are you looking at this situation with George Floyd and what was the name of the officer? I'm sorry.
Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin. How is your knee-jerk
Which is a
reaction
weird name,
when
by the way.
when the outcome's different, when the outcome is guilty? How is your knee-jerk reaction to say, "Oh, no, he shouldn't have been convicted"? Like, well, okay, so all cops should not be convicted.
So how many people?
or can we trust?
How
the
many people
system?
on your feed, Paul, are like saying that kind of stuff?
The day
I know
it
you come
happened
from the conservative Christian element
like,
of upstate New York.
I'm going to say I've taken a
where it
strong
comes-
step
yeah.
back from social media in general because I've noticed my days are better when I'm not staring at Facebook. I tend to be a happier person when I'm not looking at Facebook a ton. So, but I did see a handful of people that were there was just he was not guilty of murder, not guilty of murder. So like, wait, what? Okay. Like, and again, I'm sitting there going, I haven't been following this trial. I did see the footage, fairly damning. I saw footage of when he was saying it before the guy had his neck being pressed upon, saying "I can't breathe." I saw footage of him saying "I can't breathe" before that, but I don't know of any life-saving methods. If you said, "Hey, I can't breathe," and I was like, "Okay, let me get my knee and get it on your neck," like that's not a life-saving thing. So it doesn't seem appropriate. And the idea that the other cops stood there and didn't do anything, I'm just like, okay, so I don't know. It seems like he did something very wrong. I'm taking an amalgam, if that's the right word, of all the people on Facebook that I know, some liberals, some conservatives, like the conservative amalgam. And some of the voicing that I've heard has been like when the whole entire thing went to court with Breonna Taylor. Oh, the court system did its job. That's what the court system's for. They were innocent. And now this one, you're disagreeing with the court system. But where's the trust in the court system? Because so could a cop ever be guilty? Like, this is almost as close as we've ever come to seeing somebody literally on camera, at least for me, literally on camera, essentially kill somebody. Like, or do nothing to save his life, bare minimum. Again, I'm not trying to say that's what I believe. You guys know what I'm saying. I've just been shocked by basically it does feel messed up that the knee-jerk reaction seems to be wasn't murder, or basically you're always saying the cops are right.
I think
I don't know. I feel odd about
think-
even saying any of these.
I
things,
think
but-
it makes sense because, like, now I understand the concept of the court system did its job, and now you're saying there's hypocrisy, kind of like, well, they did its job this time too. But it's a different. The courts upholds any given value system, any given what they what's the precedent, right? And so the precedent for a long time has been, okay, the police is given qualified immunity, or the police is given as much of a lee room to be like, okay, he was trying to restrain the guy, blah, 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 whatever. So they're like, okay, so now this is changing. This is a big revolution almost, or change in the civil justice, criminal justice paradigm in America. This is a total power shift. So even though I see what you're saying, like they're inconsistent, they're not in a way. They're like, oh my God, what happened to the old values?
Yeah, well, everything is a documentary film. So
Everything is a documentary.
So basically,
And I love the body cams. I'm so happy we got the body cams.
I actually
Childish
don't-
Gambino
yeah.
You
said,
don't like the...
Yeah.
This is a celly. That's a tool. I mean, he is saying like videotape power. Show how messed up it is.
And I'm glad you can tape cops. For, like, it's 10 years ago. Sometimes cops would be like, put your phone away. But now, like, the courts have basically said you can videotape a cop pretty much anytime.
I have friends in New York City who have like been just pulled over for like the most random thing, and it usually begins with they'll have somebody record. It's usually like one of my black friends in the city who gets pulled over for no reason, and he's just like, why did you pull me over, officer? And they'll take the video out, and he's just like, I need you to put that down. He goes, honestly, I don't have to. Like it's my it's there's nothing telling me, or there's nothing telling you that you can do anything about this. Yeah. So if one of my buddies got pulled over because his like blinker wasn't working on his car, and it wasn't even like that big of a deal. It was like when the blinker is like about to die, it kind of just like goes kind of fast. That's what he got pulled over for. So
did he ultimately get cited for that?
No, because the guy got like you could tell he got spooked by the camera because he's like, I don't know about all this.
That's well, there you go. That's more power.
I think it came like a situation where he's like, I got to hit my quota, so it's like, let me just get this guy on this like light thing.
I hate about it.
I actually don't even know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know like what like what you have to do, if there's even a quota anymore.
Yeah, who knows?
I just know that at the end of the month, seems like a lot of cops are out looking for speeders.
That's always been
like,
the thing
just,
you hear, but who knows if it's true or not.
The 30th of a month, I just start looking around a highway and I'm just like, there is a lot of cops on the road, man. Like somebody's like one ticket away from like a bonus. Like I feel like we're just right there. It's like,
well, the Wikipedia says some police departments may set productivity goals, but they deny having specific quotas. Whether or not that's a de facto quota, and if there's a big correlation,
you mean bonus incentives? I got you.
De facto, like I'm way smarter than I am. De facto. So let's pivot a little bit to a similar thing because I think we find ourselves now a little bit in almost like a George Floyd situation, but like more complicated, perhaps, or less black and white, maybe with the Bryant in Ohio situation. I just want to bring that up quickly because I know it ties in with the Chauvin verdict. So if you didn't know,
guys,
you heard it first on the Deep podcast a week later. There was a black woman, but she was really a child. I think she was 16. Her name was Bryant. She was in foster care. She probably had some troubles or whatever because the police were called out in this place in Ohio, Cincinnati or something, or Daytona.
I think it was outside of Columbus,
Ohio,
I believe. Yeah.
Do you mind looking up the Bryant?
It's Ohio. They have cities.
But they have cities there. Anyhoot, my point being that the officers showed up and there was an altercation taking place with Micaiah and at least one other girl. Micaiah had a knife. Micaiah was lunging with the knife at the girl. So she may have ended up stabbing, may or may not have ended up killing this girl. And the police shot her with a gun and killed her.
Yeah, and there's body cam footage that was released by the police department, which I'm assuming is just kind of going to be the norm now. Like, to be fair, the news, as always in the 24 news cycle, trying to drum up attention and money, like made it as bad as possible. They actually didn't show the part. They're like, this is too graphic. For the first day or two, they didn't show the part where she's like lunging with the knife. Yeah, and then they finally did.
That,
and then they
just to make it more black and white, and more outrageous. But I mean, I truly. Look, man, give me. What do you think? You were willing to stick your neck out first in Chauvin, and you have the right opinion, by the way. History will agree with you.
History will agree with you. Way to go, white guy! Did it again.
Oh no!
No, I'm just kidding. It's not a issue of me being white and talking about this. It's just an issue of like.
No. I respect you as a human being.
Yeah, thank you. You know, that's good.
I don't like the race stuff unless you have to bring it up.
Yeah,
which in George Floyd and Chauvin's case, you have to bring it up.
Because that's the thing. It's like that's the narrative of what it is. I mean, it is legitimately black and white. If it wasn't, it was just like, white guy kills white guy. It's just like, oh, well, that was Tuesday. Let's go to Wednesday
Although,
now.
to be fair, with the George Floyd situation, although Chauvin was white and all that other stuff, I believe the other few cops on duty were like, there's like an Asian one, there's somebody else.
There was.
So it's not necessarily.
I don't know.
It's not always black and white.
Like, I know.
Although there is a huge disparity in terms of what you see.
Yeah, the police forces are multicultural. I mean, they're all one and the same because they all wear the blue and they want to back one another. But
I mean, the most hardcore leftists might say that the Asian cop is a white supremacist.
Who knows?
I think you're trying to lock down the exact location. It was Columbus, Ohio. I think
it was Columbus. Okay. So
anyway, I mean, yeah, man.
I was right.
Which is the most important thing.
Which is the most important thing.
There are a lot of people that are very upset. I don't think it's. I don't know. I don't. Man, I wish he hadn't shot her. But at the same time, she's lunged at somebody with a knife. I really haven't made my mind up on this one completely.
And I'm a little 50-50 on it too. Now, my thought process is always being like the last thing. And again, I'm not speaking as somebody that is like I have friends that are police officers. Let me preface that.
Comedians getting serious.
Yes, comedians getting serious.
That should be a new pod.
Yeah,
it's like this podcast.
Yeah, instead of getting coffee,
funny people getting serious.
Yes, instead of getting coffee, we get espresso and talk about politics. So it's
he's got coffee, I got tea. I guess that's just the kind of mood tonight.
This is comedians in cars getting espresso and getting serious.
I love espresso.
I do too.
I had a macchiato this morning.
See, I don't even.
Woo!
I'm an Americano guy. I like espresso with just a little hot water because I want to temper my anxiety.
No, but that's the same. That's why I get the macchiato, because you get the breve with the half and half. That really tempers it, slows down the absorption.
How fun is it to talk about coffee?
Guys,
are you gonna have a Wine Boyz podcast and pivot to coffee? You're
we might, yeah.
Alcohol's not doing it for me anymore.
Coffee talk.
When you get a little tired of the wine, switch to coffee. I don't know, guys. The pour-over I had today was pretty great. The foam up was on point.
Yeah. Oh, that sweet foam.
The blossom was.
What did you have today?
I just did cabal roast called Brazil, and I just did a nice little pour over.
Okay.
And
love pour over coffee, man.
the blossom really happened.
I'm learning how to make my own cold brew right now.
Oh,
and
nice.
it's
Yes.
fascinating.
I'm not weighing in much on this.
Wait a minute.
Makaya situation.
Wait. I'm sorry.
Because I have not watched the whole video.
Okay, well,
myself.
listen. You still heard the situation. I think that we've
Sounds
essentially
tragic.
look. Here's what happened. The cops were there almost no time at all. Cops were there a minute or less. They get there. They're pulled up. There's a bunch of people shouting and screaming outside. There's two girls in an altercation. One of them's Makaya Bryant with a knife, and she's pretty much goes ahead and lunges. And then one of the cops, I think he was white. I'm not sure. Went ahead and shot her to protect the other girl, but he still shot her and killed her.
I mean, I don't know what to sit there and I don't know how to judge. Like, I don't want to be judge and jury on these things. That sounds terrible.
Well, that's why.
I mean, my first thought is like,
say,
couldn't you shot her in the kneecap? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's actually people say that, but it's not as easy as said as done. It's a lot. There's a lot more mass damage. Shooting a gun, it's not like, oh, I'm shooting a gun. Like, I'm going to hit anything. I'm the best shooter in history. There's very few people like that.
Exactly.
So, like, this area is
yeah.
huge. Leg is very small, so it's actually very dangerous to try to shoot somebody in the leg, and you might hit somebody else. So I want to give that defense right up front. I don't want to defend anybody. I feel bad for Makaya Bryant, and I feel bad for the cop in this case.
It just sounds terrible. Yeah.
It's a horrible situation.
Yeah.
But my thing is, too, is that, and you bring up a point that I was even thinking about, too, is like, the thing that I always think about from the perspective of talking to police officers and also doing my own, Google and Wikipedia-based research is basically that what happens...
I think it's Makaya, actually. I'm sorry. Just put that out.
I
Makaya.
honestly
Thank
don't...
you for trying
I'm
to
not
get it
going
right.
to sit...
I'm honestly trying to get it right.
I'm not going to sit
trying to
there...
make a joke.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm trying to have respect on her name or whatever.
I'm not
Makaya,
great with names.
I believe.
The fact that I remember
with Kaya.
the fact that I remember both years is like a blessing. But the whole thing is like, I think the whole point of policing is to do it in the most safe and manageable way possible. Now, there are situations where a firearm is necessary. Like it just is. If you're being fired upon, it's like it's probably good you have a gun on you. But I get it from the perspective of someone's being attacked. You want to try to serve, protect, do your whole, do your job. But I always believed that the last line of defense is to discharge a firearm. That's what I've always been told from police officers, is like all the field training and stuff that they do, which, mind you, the field training that they do is mostly violent. Like they basically say, look at all this cool stuff and all these tools you guys get to play with. And then they go out and I don't think they ever really, and I think actually, to be honest, I think John Oliver did a large scale piece about this, about like police training. And the fact that if you go to like an actual academy, if you go to police training, it's a lot of like situations that involve violence. There's not a lot of like trying to like calm down a situation. There's not a lot of like, here's some ways that you can diffuse the situation, before we have to go to that last step. Yeah. So, and maybe that's just, again, that could just be a,
this has got to be, yeah.
It's got to be an issue, I think, from the, the infrastructure of the police force. Like what can they do better? So as somebody from an outside opinion, a comic, a satirical person who's just basically like, well, I mean, here's what I would do as an outside source and somebody that may not do a crime. I think that you need to find a way to get to a de-escalation point that works for all parties involved. Now, I'm a huge proponent of having like mental health counselors like in with police officers. Like a guy, like a person, a woman, man, anybody that is in the field can essentially do a ride along. Not even so much a ride along, but just like, but they go through proper police training. Not like in a way that they need to like have like a gun or anything, but just like kind of know the ins and outs of it. Like
I just imagine training day immediately, just like, here, Ethan Hawke, hit this.
Yeah, I didn't know
what is it? What is it?
I didn't know you like to get wet. One of my top,
by the way, that's on Netflix right now. Still,
top
I think
10 favorite movies because because every situation, it's like you just want this kid to get out and he can't because Denzel Washington's office rocker. Then he throws him into some gangbangers.
Oh, gosh.
Then he actually stops a sexual assault, and it's just like I just want this guy to win. And then it's like, it's
amazing. It's unbelievable.
It's a great movie, but backtracking. So the whole point is that I really do believe that police officers have way too much on their plate. Like especially an episode of either now this is a physical altercation, but there's a lot of episodes of like mental,
breakdowns.
Yeah, mental breakdowns, mental health issues that if somebody with proper training was with them would say, hey, let's maybe let them try to diffuse the situation. Yeah. And then if it escalates, then we intervene.
So I'll say
Like,
this. I'll say this. Like I agree with everything you just said. Like I think it's definitely a better idea.
you don't have to agree with everything I say.
I do though.
I love combativeness.
I know, but we just like we agreed on Chauvin. I agree with this concept of training the police in a different and more non-combative way, more de-escalation, potentially more mental health teams. I agree with everything you just said. I think it's a better ideal to work towards. I actually disagree with the slogan. Probably the stupidest slogan, honestly, if you want to get mass appeal, one of the stupidest slogans of all time by Black Lives Matter, which was actually defund the police. I actually think we need to fund the police more, maybe in the right direction with these sort of training programs, with a new mental health unit, and the rest of it, de-escalation programs.
I think the thing is, and that phrase itself has a lot of meaning.
And you're in marketing, you do sales.
Thank you.
You studied marketing, right?
I'm a comedian.
I know, but
let's be honest though.
We all have day jobs at this time as comedians.
What are we except for just selling words to people to try to make them laugh? Honestly.
No, I know that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying you have a marketing background.
Yeah.
You seem to agree that
it's
a foolish marketing scheme to fund the police for popular approval.
What I do is I finish my set, I go to the bar and I start selling timeshares like right away. Just like, hey man, did you like my set? How about a timeshare in Aruba? Like,
I was always shocked. I feel like the term defund the police is inflammatory to many people. It is something that would cause an initial reaction, knee-jerk reaction of defensiveness or guardedness instead of I think if they had chosen
rebuild the police.
Rebuild or
Rebuild
reallocation of funds, or
that's not going to work with the marketing one.
Reallocate
the funds. Reallocate the funds.
Yeah, but I mean that's really what we're talking about is reallocation of funds.
Correct. Yeah,
and I think that may lead to that is a phrase that could at least lead to a conversation or a googling of what allocation means, but I think that defund the police, sadly, I think didn't lead to conversation. It led to more smashing of heads, banging heads, screaming at each other, loud words on the internet, loud writing, loud typing.
And I think that's interesting stuff. And I think that further gets more eyes on the news cycle. I think that caused a loop where then the news cycle is, let's do more inflammatory stuff. And it just becomes more and more of a wedge issue where you got the left and the right, you've got the blue and the red, like.
Well, that's what. Yeah. But that's what sells media. Like that's what it is. It's fear porn is what it is. Honestly, it's just like we want you to be afraid. We want grandma to talk about what she watched on Fox News. Your 75-year-old grandmother.
Absolutely.
For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's just a continuous news cycle.
I already see it with plenty of family members, and I'm like, after the whole election was over and the whole scandal, like the election and whether it was fraudulent and how like 80% of Republicans at some point, I don't know if this still believe that it was a fraudulent election and all the rest of it, like. I have a lot of conservative people in my family, like my greater family. Just like he has a lot of conservative people in his circle, and it's just like I was like, you know what, man, you just gotta. Whether you're left or right, you just gotta take a step back from this politics stuff, man. Like, go take a walk.
For real.
Call your friends. Call your kids if you got them. Like,
just do
hug somebody.
Else.
Get a hobby. Just like who said it? Like Burr said it. Like when either Trump was elected or something like he's like, or maybe when Obama was like, he's like, they don't take your trash out. Like they're not gonna. How much are they gonna do for me at every given day? Are they really gonna like do everything? Like live your life.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, that is some people's life. Like,
and I think it's sad.
It is sad.
And I think the digital stuff enables it. The Twitter stuff, the social media stuff enables it. The phone.
That has nothing to do with us. Like, it's just that's their decision. They have the decision to turn off the TV. They don't have to comb through the news cycle. The thing is, too, is like, did you guys watch that Social Dilemma thing on?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's honestly. I kind of knew it because I was like, all right, so obviously what they're doing is that they want me to stay hooked onto the phone as much as possible. All right, so when I'm scrolling through my Instagram feed and I'm going through the pictures of Insta models and like whatever else I get to see, because I'm being marketed to.
Absolutely.
I finally get to.
You're a victim.
I'm a victim. Exactly. Don't victim shame me. All right, I didn't want to see that girl in a teeny bikini on, in Miami, and she's doing great.
No, the algorithm is totally random.
And now you're like 80% more likely to go to Miami.
She is a fitness model. She's showing me crunches. Basically, and it's basically we're being marketed to. But what they do is it's always the reverse psychology, which I like reverse psychology because I like to know like if you can take someone's point and then just like do the opposite and then also make them do that. Fascinated by that. Like it's just like yesterday he wanted to wear a white shirt and I talked about blue shirts. he's wearing a blue shirt today. It's just like I don't know. I like that stuff where you can just manipulate the mind in that way.
Oh, you're into gaslighting and stuff like that. You're gonna be a.
Oh, as a comic, who would think that, right? Like,
no, that's not what happened. No. We went to the park.
No, that
we held hands and sang.
Yeah, we held hands and sang. Let's be honest. There was some other things that were going on.
Okay,
but yeah. So what I'm
wait. Can we pause though? Because could you give me one more definition of reverse psychology? Because I kind of understand it, but not really. Do you understand reverse psychology? Like, I've heard that expression before. It's like you're using tactics to get somebody to do your will, but like, what exactly is reverse psychology, Zach?
So basically, in layman's terms, it's essentially what you want. So you want somebody to have the same thought process as you. Now, I don't know if this is the exact definition. As somebody that does sales, I can be a bit of a bullshitter. It's just really trying to figure out like the way to get somebody to get to that same point that you want them to believe in.
Okay.
But kind of doing the opposite and manipulating them into doing it. Look
like if I don't want you to come with me.
Why don't we actually define it instead of dumbing these people down? Like,
let's say it's like, yo, I want you to hang out with me tonight, but I want to make myself more desired, or like I want you to want to come with me. So I'm like talking about how I'm hanging out with Zach.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, don't call us. Like I want you to like elicit a response. So it's actually I'm acting like I don't want a certain response.
I got you.
So
it's based on the psychological phenomenon of reactance, which is I've seen a lot, which is like when someone is unpleasant for them to be when they can tell you're trying to manipulate them. It's like a no for them. That's reactance. So it's like when somebody's like, "Come on, you want to do this with me," blah, blah, blah. Someone's like, "I got to do my own thing." So it's like kind of maybe reverse psychology is more like you're saying, where it's like, "Nah, man, don't come to get the burger with me later. You don't. You wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want it. It's too good. You wouldn't." It's not even.
You just started the whole vegan thing, and you know what? I don't want you to fall off the tracks just to eat a burger with me, man.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
fine.
So it's kind of the mindset of like
it's the opposite of manipulation.
Facebook it was initially exclusive just to college students, according to the social media, the movie, the social network,
the social network, or the social network,
the social network. By creating a sense of exclusivity, they create this desire. Because I want access to it, so it's kind of in that same kind of what did you say, reactivity? Reactance.
Yeah, reactance.
Yeah, that sounds like a real word. You guys were talking about social media earlier, and it's
under the subject of psychology.
I will do zero research. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you guys are talking about like social media. You're talking about kind of how like being marketed to, being sold to, and then also like an older woman that was the analogy you're kind of using, like watching Fox News all the time. Just the analogy came to mind of like feedback. You guys know what feedback is in the audio world, where a microphone gets too close to the speaker and now it starts actually picking up what the speaker was saying, and now it starts this loop and it just keeps getting louder and louder and louder. I feel like that's a lot of what's going on with us, our society, social media wise, where either it's media or social media are just literally feeding us the same thing, and now you're spitting that back out, you're searching it, you're Googling it, and then in turn, because of the algorithm, it is now pushing it back at you even harder, and maybe we as a society are hearing the counter argument less and less and less, and I feel like it's a sad state to be in, and just interpersonal communication is so key. Just lock it in and hearing where people are at is really important. That's my PSA.
As I say, and I'm Paul Wood, and I approve this message. I think that I've always kind of wanted to know what like the origin of the word algorithm is.
It's Al Gore. Al Gore.
that's kind of, and you're the second person to say that to me, and I was like, of course, it was.
I wish to
that's
God
climate
I had
change.
that joke.
Yeah, it's actually just climate change.
It's climate change. Yeah, I wish
that's what the algorithm is.
I wish I made up that joke, but it was on an episode
Shout
of
out to Al Grand.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, where
maybe that's what I heard.
Algorithm.
So somebody else said it, but they didn't give the show the credit.
I know where it's from. Remember all the Al names, just like alchemy. Remember, like alchemy was like the science of trying to figure out how to turn lead into gold.
Okay.
Well, al is the in Arabic.
Okay.
So the algorithm is algorithm. So it's like the algorithm. or whatever. So rhythm was probably like rule or something else in Arabic.
Okay,
So
that
we
makes
just
There's a lot
call
of
it
like Arabic
algorithm?
philosophy and Persian mathematicians.
that makes sense. Yeah, but
That's super interesting.
So it,
So
has
it's
nothing, so
definitely
it doesn't have
Arabic.
anything to do with like
Because the father of algorithms was some Muhammad gentleman, Muhammad Ibn. It's
the most common name in the world.
I can't say it. But,
everybody's Muhammad. I didn't know. I didn't realize it, but yeah,
he
still
was
the most
actually
common name
he
in
was
the world.
Persian, but I believe it's still Al in Persian. For the.
So it does. So that has
Super
nothing to
interesting.
do with like rhythm at all. Like I just for some reason I feel like
The algorithm.
No,
No, it's
because
because
when he
it's
was-
non-Latin language is why it's
okay,
confusing.
yeah, I know, and that's probably
It's
why.
one of those annoying
But
homonyms
I'm
or whatever.
thinking about it from his perspective when he was talking about like these pulses, and it's just the rhythm of the same pulses hitting the same person over and over and over again that they just start believing it. So it's just like the news cycle. It's just like, same pulses over and over and over again. It's just like, all right. I mean, or that person doesn't have any informed decision making at all, and they're just like, whatever you say, Megyn Kelly or whoever. I don't watch Fox News, so it's like.
Okay. I don't think
Speaking-
she's on still.
speaking of
I watched
Al Gore-
Bombshell, and I think she
Yeah.
left after that.
Speaking
Yeah.
of algorithms, like
Stop it! You look just like me.
I can't stand how tribal like people get with their politics. I remember not shortly after I graduated from college, I saw some article, and yes, to be fair, it was an article published by a completely partisan right-leaning website called Red State. So I get like people's knee-jerk reaction, but there's at least two people that I posted this article because it was an article on Al Gore. This is probably 2016 or 2017. It was an article on Al Gore and how he had like this huge house. He had like 18 houses. He had like 10 yachts. Maybe he had a couple yachts, a couple big cars. He was very not green as an individual. Like he was a hypocrite. And it was this article about that. And I was like, and I remember getting all these comments from like, I guess you could call them leftists or liberals or whatever, who were like, this is not, why are you saying this stuff? Like, it's not, doesn't mean that climate change, I didn't even say climate change wasn't real, but I was just like, it was just like people were so upset with me that I could possibly take Al Gore's name in vain. And I'm like, come on, dude. Because like, I guess in their mind, like he had done so much positive stuff for the world with, what was it called? The Inconvenient Truth, that we shouldn't criticize his little like everyday moves. Who cares what this individual does? It's a systemic issue, blah, 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 blah. And that's what they were all saying. And I was like, I feel like it's important for a leader of something to be like a leader of it and not just like a hypocrite.
Yeah, like the leader of a vegan religion. If you find out he's eating Big Macs with all the beef, with triple the beef,
Who
he'd be
cares,
like,
man?
"What?"
It's a system.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
cares?
it's systemic, bro.
Or
Systemic, man. Have you been to Panhandle?
You said he had 18 cars. What if they were all Teslas? That's electronic. Everything's fine. Everything is fine.
Everything
Like-
is fine.
Yes.
Also, like, I mean,
It was literally an article like calculating how many like gigawatts or whatever watts of energy his house, his mansion's used.
Which is
Sort of
probably a
the-
lot.
or like
It's,
the kind of
it's a
idea-
lot of house. Like the fact that anybody still thinks that politicians are not liars is that's your own
And that's
fault.
why that's what I told my parents.
That's your
after
fault.
My parents,
I mean,
full reveal. I guess they're pretty conservative, and like many conservatives were upset about the whole Trump loss. And I'm like, why do you like? I get that you like Trump and his policies, but like, stop worshiping this guy. Like he knows somebody, and I know somebody too that thinks that he's like the incarnation of Jesus Christ. I'm like, it's like we're like these are politicians.
if that's the incarnation,
These are politicians. Stop worshiping them. Just like the left. And like, oh no, there's nothing wrong with Al Gore being a bad person. Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Just call it how they are, man.
yeah, guys, can we just make
Call it like you see 'em.
Yeah, just like maybe just believe the fact that they're just shit people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of garbage people out here. It's just the way it is, and we can all coexist with garbage people. Just we can. We've been doing it forever.
But that's actually like that's almost like this whole. I guess you could say the cancel culture, the wokeness stuff, is a little bit kind of like we need to just stop bad people, and it's kind of like there's always gonna be bad people, man. And if you try to censor everything that bad people are doing, or like gross people are doing, or like inappropriate people are doing, then it's going to go underground, where it's almost worse for it to be there, where nobody can see it, nobody talks about it, and it's still happening. That's like almost worse.
That's when it comes like some deep state stuff, where it's just like, I mean, are they actually doing stuff underground? Because I want to see if they are. Like,
Well, like we talked about it a million times in this podcast, where like all the like Twitter not letting people on the platform, this, that, and the other. Like I remember there was an article recently. I was talking to Sam Williams on a podcast recently about it, where it's like Spotify like scrubbed the Joe Rogan collection. So they've taken
40 plus episodes, right? Yeah.
One of which is like, for example, a Chris D'Elia episode. Now, first of all, Chris D'Elia has terrible allegations, like underage allegations, all this other stuff against him. So terrible. Not coming out as a pro Crystalia fan. Never was a huge Crystalia fan personally anyway. But that being said, it doesn't
Love how
matter.
you had to get the jab in. You're just
He was like LA's comic for years though. What do
Yeah.
I have to say? I'm a nobody comic. This guy was LA's comic for like 10 years.
and he was
good for him.
very,
Regular-
very successful.
He was very successful. So
I don't even
have
think I could spell
respect.
his name correctly based on the
A
way
lot of people
Crystalia.
have. Whenever I
A couple
used
of apostrophes in there.
when I saw the hate,
least two.
When I saw the hate tweets coming out about it, I was just like, at least put the apostrophe in. Like, be historically accurate here. Like,
And if he's really that famous, why is Crystal Light not using him as a spokesperson?
you know what? They
What's
were
the
going
problem?
to. The campaign was coming out, and then the allegations
And
came out
then
the
the
day
underages.
before.
But like this is the thing.
Awful.
This is what I don't like. Is like I don't like this because I don't like that spot. I get it. I get they're a private corporation. They can be associated or not associated with any particular individual. I get all that. But it's like this person wasn't even like convicted in a court yet, and he's just already taken down off the platform.
Public opinion.
I
man.
don't like that. I
The
get
court,
that's
the court of public opinion is
that's
actually the
marketing
most
taken-
powerful court in the world right now.
But because of social media
A
embodying
little thing
allowing that
called
to
We
be,
the People.
Yeah.
Ever hear of it, Karam?
bro, look. We have a thing in this country called innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
Just like we didn't just like take Chauvin out and hang him the next day. We let the rascal go through the trial.
what if we
Yeah.
had because
rascal.
yeah the rascal. Hey, get over here, you little rascal! Get
Which
on
one
this
do you
rope.
think he is, an alfalfa or more of a spanky?
Oh God, definitely an alfalfa. But anyway,
I'm just imagining the.
he's done such a disservice
I'm
for white people. I
imagining
feel bad for you guys just because of fucking
the
Chauvin.
conversation.
The rascal.
If they were like
Taking
okay,
white people back 40 years at least.
Yeah, that's pretty.
In
I can
progress.
the bailiff is taking him out, and first of all he calls him a rascal, and then he goes, "All right, get on up on there. You got to put the rope around your neck." Like it's just like
You lovable scamp. Get over there.
Yeah, get over there. We're gonna murder you. We're gonna murder you in front of a crowd. All right.
This will make everything better. You
Way
murdered
to
somebody else.
remove the teeth of like this big movement, Karam.
Yeah.
The rascal, he was a rascal for what he did, all right? You shouldn't have put your knee on somebody's neck for fucking 9 minutes and whatever many seconds. You're an idiot.
You can't
Stop.
use 50%.
Stop being
Especially with
such a curmudgeon,
especially with
all
a crowd and people with the phone. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Use a little bit of your mind. Even if you really are some sort of white supremacist deep down and hate black people for some reason, which is terrible in and of itself, use your mind. Don't be a fucking rascal. And lead to our whole country burning for a year
I
and a
wish
half.
we had sponsors, so we had to go to
Yeah,
a break.
yeah.
And I wish the sound cue was Rascal Flats.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
You know what?
Your Rascal Flats, that one song. Plug that one song, that one music video. For those who haven't heard or seen.
as the of the group, the rap expert, which is crazy
He
to
is,
think.
he is.
I'm gonna look right into the camera for that one. Crazy because it looks like I listen to Dave Matthews. I don't. I love this song by an artist named Rumor. It's RMR. I love you. Just want to let you know. Not like that.
He's totally going to be listening to this.
Not like that. There's a song called Rascal. What he did is he took a sample from a Rascal Flatts song. Okay, and
I'm in.
He's a now you might be, and he's a hip hop artist. Now the greatest thing I've seen in a music video probably in the last like 5 to 10 years, because they're still circulating on YouTube, is the beginning of the song. He starts serenading the camera with like this beautiful country twang. He is wearing a ski mask and a Saint Laurent bulletproof vest with an AR-15 assault rifle pointed at the camera. To myself saying, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Maybe, but
yeah.
But it's like,
It's
wow.
basically a cover of Fleetwood.
By Rascal Flatts
Could you
song.
sing a few bars for me?
No,
Right
because
now,
that's
all I've got is
I don't want
Uncle
copyright
Cracker in my
issues.
head.
No,
Yeah.
that's not going to be a copyright issue. You can
No,
sing
you can hum it.
I don't think I could do it. I can't do it
Just
justice.
give me it doesn't have to be good.
It's not going to be
Just give him a
good.
taste of it because I can't remember the words.
Because I'm just thinking, I miss Mayberry.
It is like that.
Sitting on the coat,
Well, it's not quite that preposterous. It's not quite
Let's
that.
not do
it's
that.
not quite that honky tonky. But I think even the song, I think it's acoustic too. I don't think there's drums.
There's no drum kit. There's no, which is
It's an antithetical to like a rap song.
The
Like,
thing is,
these
though,
are
is that, like-
rappers doing it's beautiful. It's
You never
beautiful.
even let the beat drop.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
One of the best examples of juxtaposition. Or
once you do
surprise
an
of all
episode
time.
about the history of hip hop, I need to come because
That'd be great.
I know way too much, unfortunately now.
I would love for you to teach us.
So there's a lot of in today's music. They use a lot of this thing called an 808 kick drum. You ever heard of that?
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
the
Beastie
deep
Boys,
kick.
right?
Yeah, so deep kick, dubstep was big on that. That's where like you get that like those hard drum kicks, but a lot of the beats nowadays are just very kind of plain Jane with a lot of mumble rap over it, which is fine. I like mumble rap. I like my artists on drugs and young. That's how I feel at this. That's
Drugs
rap,
and young.
That's what the rappers are today. The average age of like a decent rapper is like 19.
Yeah, they're really young.
and he's got a severe pain pill addiction, and that's fine. that's how I like them. So
in the mold, in the juice world, in the juice world
that's how-
mold.
Yeah, well, rest in peace to the god.
He was a good rapper.
He was, and he had to, because he got pulled over. Well, the story of Juice WRLD is he basically got ran up on by police while his jet was landing at an airport, and he had a lot of drugs on him, and he was trying to not catch a charge, so he just started eating them, and he died.
That wasn't necessarily the best plan.
Not really the best plan to mix all of the drugs that you have on your person. Yeah, that'll kill it would have killed a moose most likely.
Seizure induced by acute oxycodone and codeine intoxication.
Yeah.
That sounds really terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible. But that's the thing is it's the worst and best part of rap right now, because it's like, I want these kids to not do drugs, but when they do, they make some dope shit. So it's like really hard for me to I'm towing the line as a fan, but also I also want to be a responsible adult and be like, you guys should knock that off. But you're putting out some really good shit. So what am I going to do? So back where we at? Rumor, Rascal.
Such a cool song.
It is a really cool song.
It made me think. And I know
You
this
will
is
love to watch this music video. All
I
the
know
listeners should
this-
watch
We're going
this
to
video.
watch this music video after this podcast, and I expect everybody that views this to also watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, what I want, I'm actually going to look at his YouTube hits, and then I want him to have another 100,000 after this is over.
Oh, yeah,
That's my goal.
At least.
That's the reach, man. We need to
That's
get...
the reach.
Listen, how good does Mount Everest look from the bottom? You got to get to the top. That's the best view.
Wow.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Holy cow.
It is. It's one of the best videos I've seen. in a
Karen,
long
I don't
time.
want to put any pressure on you, but it feels like two of us already have 2 PSAs going on. So it kind of seems like you need a PSA.
What if I was like,
Really
that was
touching
actually a
moment.
commercial for Mentos?
The view for the top.
The cream
I'm always...
of the macchiato brevet.
we can't...
Always rises.
We can't do wrestling either, because if we're just going to stick to rapping and wrestling, it's going to be my 2 favorite things, and it's tough because I don't want to take control of this whole thing. So, it's just...
Well, how did we get to that anyway? We got to that video.
We are on the tangent of the tangent of the tangent.
What was the
and
tangent?
I was about to go
What was
another
the pro-
tangent.
It's an
because
Inception
I-
tangent.
Okay, so I had mentioned how I don't like the deep level of social media censorship, the Spotify washing, the Joe Rogan episodes. I've said this a zillion times on my podcast. I'm not a big fan of this censorship stuff. I've never been a big fan of censorship in the 90s. I play fair. In the 90s, it was the white or whatever, not even the white, but the Christian conservatives who were trying to ban Harry Potter, trying to ban all that other stuff. I was against it then, and I'm against it now. They're trying to ban crazy fringe shit like Alex Jones and the rest of it. I don't want you to ban them. I think if it's stupidity, it should be out in the open for us all to say, oh, that's stupid.
Are
okay.
you willing to go on record and say that in the next
And Chris D'Elia shouldn't be kicked off until he's convicted, in my opinion.
Okay.
It-
in the
it's-
next sequel or a prequel to
I don't even know why he
Harry
has to be kicked off just
you
'cause he was
want
convicted.
Alex Jones to be involved in that, right?
I would have Alex Jones on the show at any time, although we'll probably lose all of our channel, everything.
No, you would get so much hit. Oh my god.
No, I know, but
I love Alex
Alex
Jones. Not
was-
for the
Alex
reasons
Jones
that
on-
people
on
like
Schultz.
him.
Oh,
But
he's so
Alex
wild.
Jones was on Andrew Schultz, Flagrant 2, and the show's been washed. It's off.
it had to. I mean, he said some really ridiculous shit on that
What do you
show.
mean they had to? Whatever happened to free speech? You're allowed to say ridiculous shit.
Here's the thing.
What
is
is
that
that? What do you
they
mean?
So they had to.
He's just wrong.
Let me finish my point. You're getting mad.
He should-
You're getting mad.
I'm turning into Alex Jones.
You are. Your face is beat red. You're slinging whiskey.
Talking about your weight loss.
Yeah.
George Bush is a war criminal.
Yeah. So I was going to do the frog thing. Ironically, him with that standpoint, I'm saying that had to be taken off by YouTube because they have advertising and they have other things that they have to worry about. So basically, when that man speaks loudly again, now there's a lot of stuff. I've done a little bit of Alex Jones research, and I can't do enough because my head will explode. But if I kept going, he makes a lot of very logical points in a very illogical manner. Like the things that he says, he's a showman, so he's just freaking out and doing all this stuff.
Absolutely.
But there's stuff that he says that if you comb through his nonsense, there's some truth in there.
Oh. Yeah.
And you have to take the one point and just stick it together to make a whole sentence. It's basically
It's like sifting for gold.
he's having two conversations within himself.
It's like if you looked at
yeah.
his if you took a script of everything he said, like a transcribe it, it's like a choose your own venture. If you just randomly jump from page to page, it'll probably make sense.
For real.
Is that what
if
you're trying to
Alex
say?
Jones created a one of those like choose your own adventure books, I 100% would buy it. And most of the time it would just be like, all right, so here we're gonna go. We're gonna go to an interdimensional galaxy right now. And if you don't get on this ship, it explodes. But wait, if you get on the ship and it explodes, you actually go to an alternate universe and the Dems are there. and that's basically it. It's like, wait, why did the Dems get here, Alex? Well, you got to go on. Either do you want to jump down the conclave or do you want to climb the ladder? You got to figure out where you want to go. It's just like
No, I totally agree that he has a lot of silly stuff. But
He's
it
Terrible
says-
book idea,
completely
but
agree.
solid impression.
but-
Holy
Thank you.
crap.
But
Thank you. I've been trying.
I personally think, as someone who's interested in investigative stuff and truth and conspiracy and the rest, like many people, I think that he did do a lot of good work on the Iraq War.
Oh,
that was
I
when he
thought you
got
were saying
when he got to
InfoWars,
start.
like-
When he was doing the anti-Bush Junior protests and all the rest of it, saying how he was calling out the hypocrisy of the Iraq
I
War
just love
way
when he
before
would
anybody.
storm people. Like he would just run up on them with a microphone and be like, "Did you say this?" And they're just like, "No."
Yeah, it's
and he
hilarious.
goes, "Yes, you did."
He's a
It's
total
like-
showman. He's a total showman. And then so you got that, and then you got then he also did. He literally, you know, Bohemian Grove is like that weird place where everybody gathers each year, who is like the elites and the billionaires and all
No,
that
I don't
stuff.
know
And they
about
like
that.
worship a big like Moloch statue, a big big I think is it Moloch? Is it the big what do you call that animal again? Owl.
Owl.
The big
Yeah.
owl.
Yeah.
So he actually went and like he snuck in and like and recorded this festival of like billionaires and millionaires and everything doing this creepy like pagan festival or whatever at Bohemian Grove. This is real stuff.
So he's like a crazy conservative Michael Moore.
Kind of.
I
but
can't
then
even consider him a conservative. Like,
Well, he's anti-government.
He's anti-government.
He's mostly anti-government.
Which I guess but his ideas, I guess it's not his ideas, but his ideals seem conservative. They seem that way.
Okay.
If you comb through it a little bit more, he's just, like I said, he's just anti-establishment. He's very like, but as comics too, like I guess we're not really like those that want to be like held down by the establishment kind of thing. It's like free, saying what we want to say and
Because
doing
we
what
keep
we
it
want to
too
do.
real.
Let me
Yeah.
ask you. You said YouTube they had to take it down because the advertisers. But look.
So
first
that's-
of all, let me
that's-
ask you two questions.
Coleman to make sure.
Let me ask you two questions.
You don't know that.
Let me ask you two questions. One question would be, okay, first of all, the obvious question is like, why can't they just demonetize that one video? But the other question would be, do you really think that Coke or anybody else has the leverage over YouTube, Google now to be like, we don't want our ads on YouTube?
Yeah.
They know that YouTube is the biggest platform for streaming
So-
video in the world
All right, so
ever.
I have an
so
example.
I don't believe that. I
have
don't
an
believe that for a
example,
second.
and I have an example, and it has to do with the NFL. You may have heard of it. It's the biggest sports league in the world.
I have heard of it.
So
once or twice.
what happened was there was a team in Washington that used a racial slur for Native Americans. It was an R word, and I'm not going to say it.
The skin.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
dude,
Out of
seriously?
control. You were out of control.
Oh man, I'm kicked off YouTube already.
Yeah, see you later.
He said the word.
You shouldn't have
skins.
said it.
It was the same with the potato skins. I was
Hey,
just
I'll
hungry.
say, when I say red, you say.
Oh, that was good.
That's the closest that Paul ever swear on
Yeah,
this podcast.
and the thing is, though, is that because we're essentially just saying two different words, it doesn't matter. So what happened was FedEx, Federal Express, or as I like to call it, your package will be late, is one of the, it's the worst of the major parcel services. So what happened is,
I don't like FedEx.
Possibly first.
you know what, we can do some research on that if you like. Not a part of the story. So basically, what happened is they got pushback, the team in Washington, because FedEx has the naming rights on the stadium. Now,
okay.
naming rights deals in stadiums are usually the biggest money deals for most of the of NFL franchises. That's where they get most of their money coming in from. So FedEx got basically, I don't think that they definitely got pushed into this decision, but they said, hey, if you do not change the name of the team, we're taking our entire rights deal away. And I mean everything. We're talking naming rights on the stadium, all of like your like boxes and stuff like that we have our names all over, that all this huge, I think it was upwards of like $500 million. Like it was a lot of money. And they said, we're going to get rid of this or you change your name. And they said, we'll change our name.
What are they named now?
What company was
They're
that?
the football team.
No, that's not true.
It's 100% true.
Is it a working title?
No, the working title is the Washington football
They
team.
played this entire season as the Washington football team, which is ironic because they're a team that plays football. So it's basically...
I can't figure it out.
I know. But the thing is, though,
That's
is
a
that...
head scratcher
But
right
it
there.
is kind of a... So they use the usually European soccer... Well, actually European, but like English soccer teams are most notably known as football clubs, but they're known after the city. So like if Manchester United plays in Manchester, England, they are the Manchester United Football Club. So I guess what they were trying to do...
Going for some like a
the thing
Euro
is,
styling.
Here's the thing. The NFL just signed this big deal in London to like have games overseas, potentially 3 to 4 times per year, if not more. They
were already doing once a year.
They were trying to... They're trying to have a team in London. So there's my thought process. My thought process is that they're calling them the football team because they want to be more relatable to another audience.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Make your money, boo. That's what I say.
Yeah.
But it's like...
I don't know.
To get... You really don't think so?
No, I think in our nation's capital, we should strive for a team that fits what happens in our capital. So I think it should be like the Washington Filibusters.
Not what I was thinking at all, but I like where your head's at.
I had a whole bunch of
no one's
bits
even
on
really
this.
sure what that
really.
is.
You know,
watch.
It's one of those words people say and don't really know what it means.
Yeah, not School of Rock. What's the what's
The
the
Rock
name?
of the School.
You're talking about Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
Close enough.
I'm just a bill.
Sorry, Jack Black's not in that one. You're right. Yeah. It's just. Yeah, so that's what. There's a lot of that. When people think that corporations don't have pull, they have
pull, but
they have the pull.
Look, it depends.
Besides the
First
media
of all,
companies.
Google is a okay. Look, I agree with what you're saying, but I mean, I think it's a little bit apples and oranges because I think if Washington football teams' clout, power, money, leverage is this big, I think Google, YouTube's is about the size of the room.
Yep.
So, and that's where I disagree a little bit because I do not think very many advertisers are going to be like, they're out of the 17 quillion videos on YouTube. Alex Jones is there.
Yeah.
On one, I think maybe demonetized it. They're like, we don't want our video, our ads on this. I don't think there's many big corporations pulling out of YouTube, regardless of what they actually decide to do.
It's just he had so much clout on YouTube. Like he the amount of views and eyeballs.
So you agree with the concept of like there's like unsafe viewing, there's fake news that is bad and like poisoning the populace. We have to do a stop to this. That's you think that?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that just say. They just make up what they want to make up. I mean, it's just
that's true.
They're called comedians.
Exactly.
Or TV writers.
And just like that, full circle. Did you see that?
I am implicitly against like censorship. Like, no, we should not be doing censorship.
Yeah.
But you're saying we have to?
You're saying you feel like it's a little bit
your
unsafe to
argument's
have
weak,
people who are
and I'm disappointed with myself because I've been like, man, your argument's weaker than, and I've been trying to fill in the blank here, and I can't
you're trying to make a joke. I was like, oh my god, Paul sounds mean right now.
I can't even come up. I'm mad at myself. That's what it is. I'm mad because I haven't come up with a joke.
There's no worse person to be angry at than yourself. Honestly, it's like
that's the only thing I do.
It's the only thing that's worse than being angry at a mob of people. Really,
dude, I get it, man. But like the same week that you couldn't buy the Dr. Seuss books on eBay, you could still buy Mein Kampf.
I know.
By Hitler. And I think you should be able to buy both. Even though I disagree.
And read them both to your children. I agree. I agree.
I am a person that I've explored some of the most hateful corners on the internet. I want to be able to... I want to be able to see it.
It's so dark.
And read it. Not necessarily the darkest. Not necessarily the darkest because I've never gotten to like that horrible corner where they're like snuffing people
we talking
on
about
camera.
Twitter still?
And like rape and all that. I never got into that.
No,
I mean like the white supremacist shit, the 4chan shit. I've gotten into those forums. And did I like it? No. Was I happy about it? No. Did I start a petition outside my house like we gotta shut down this place?
Yes.
I didn't.
No,
I didn't. You might have though. Maybe you have a different opinion. I see how it's dangerous. I get it.
I don't think I have the time for that because I just feel like me by myself outside my house is not really going to make a difference. So I could put my time and energy into other things like watching YouTube videos.
It's a foolish like reduction of the point. The point being like. I don't know. I'm just not pro censorship. I just am not.
I agree. You know what the funny thing is too, because we were just talking about.
You do agree because you're saying, there's too much corporate pressure.
There is. That's the main.
That's a lot of it.
That's the crux of this whole argument. But what I think too, and ironically, because we were just talking about Al Gore, like the original, like. So you remember the whole thing with rap music and slapping the parental advisory sticker on it? That was Tipper Gore, who's married to Al.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Our name's Mary.
Oh yeah.
I like Tipper more than Mary. I don't know. Mary Gore just sounds like,
It sounds like it just
sounds like something
wrong.
she did, like it's just
It sounds like a really creepy porn star's name.
Tipper Gore.
Tipper Gore or Mary Gore. I like Tipper a little bit.
I like
more.
Merry-go-round.
Tipper's good.
Merry-go-round.
Yeah. So
But-
that's actually the person who was like
She was on the forefront of basically the movement to get parental advisory stickers put on.
This is
put on
back when
music.
like
Yeah.
the lead
This is
singer
the
of Twisted
late
Sister
80s
had
maybe.
to appear before Congress.
Yeah.
And be
all
like,
that
we're
stuff.
not gonna take it.
But a lot of it started. So
anymore.
like it originally started with hip hop. I mean, actually all started with hip hop, and it just started with NWA,
Right.
and then it just kind of
What does that
matriculated.
stand for? No, I'm just kidding.
Which is
Stands for not words I can say. Yeah.
So what's interesting about
Not
this
words
is
allowed.
that
Not
that
words allowed.
once you start getting into classic rock and you like, I guess young kids now they're not going to listen to the radio, but we would listen to the radio growing up, like 95X around here. A Pink Floyd song might curse, but a Jay-Z tune on a channel that would play Jay-Z, that would have to be censored because Pink Floyd's I'm trying to think, like maybe comfortably numb.
Yeah.
Or money definitely has the they have the word bullshit in the song. Yeah.
They said that on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
and
did.
I'm referencing something.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then it's the other thing is too is like the original. So it wasn't even, so NWA got everyone's feathers ruffled, and then there was it was actually I think it might have been before NWA. I don't know if I got my timelines mixed up, but you familiar with Two Live Crew? The
Yeah.
Like, hey, we want some. Can I say that word?
You're
Yeah,
pretty sure.
I just censored myself. Thanks,
Whoa.
Tipper Gore.
Talking about believing in it, he censored himself.
The whole thing, I did. Yeah. Hey, we want some kitty.
So what's your point about the origins of the censorship?
The origin of the censorship has a lot to do with just mainstream stuff. So basically, now that we're getting into the social media as mainstream, it then becomes that issue where it's like, all right, we have these people who do not like it, and they're speaking louder than anybody else. So we have to listen to the loudest people in the room. It's no longer a situation of like, this is the most educated person or this is the most, well-read, understood person. It becomes an issue of like, all right, this person's talking the loudest. So guess we got to listen. And I don't want censorship shouldn't be because somebody's mad. Like, so-and-so said that thing. It's just like, he's got a given constitutional right to say whatever he wants. It's in, I'm not saying you got to pick up the Constitution and thumb through it, but like, it's one of the first, one of the first three. I mean, if you're going to get bored with it, at least read the first couple and just be like, all right, I'm bored with this. Like,
yeah, the first one does guarantee freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the rest of it. And
that's how I feel about
and that's
everything.
what I think is actually a good point, actually, because if you think about it, now, first of all, I get it. It's a private corporation. They don't have to abide by necessarily. It's not like it's you can still go out in the street. Alex Jones is allowed to go in the street and yell all he wants still. So that's that. But to be fair, though, it's freedom of religion, too. It's the same kind of thing. So, like, think about it. Obviously, not every person. It's not possible for every religion to be right, probably. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way that Christians could be right and also, like, Buddhists. Like, somebody's right and somebody's wrong, like, you know what I'm saying? But we don't go out and fact check and say, like, you're not allowed to believe that it was Jesus or it was Buddha or it was the other, like, because it's a fact. Like, nobody tries to police that.
Yeah.
So it's the same way, in my opinion, that, like, Alex Jones is saying stuff. Now, I think it was the Sandy Hook thing that sucks. He should be taken to court for libel and the rest of it. But besides that, like,
well, do you really believe
should be allowed
you
to
actually
say,
believe that? Like, he should, because of what he said. So
maybe
he should be.
I think it should be decided in the court of law as opposed to the court of public opinion.
Can we clarify a little bit what he said? I think
So
I actually
the
do know
reason
about
why,
this.
even though it was many, many years later, that all of the social media companies and tech companies colluded kind of together and kicked Alex Jones off the platform a couple years ago, it was kind of a weird delayed response because it was in response to, in 2014, there was the Sandy Hook shooting, a tragic shooting that took place in Connecticut.
he claimed
it was
staged,
fake.
right?
And at least one or two times, a few times on the show, he was like, and it ended up being some of his supporters actually like kind of did apparently, what's the word for it? Like berate or like email or call like some of the victims.
Yeah, berate is probably a good way to describe it. Yeah.
And so that's really horrible and everything.
But
and
he
didn't directly call to say that. He didn't do that.
Him accountable for what someone else did. I have issue with it. I guess that would lead you to the Charles Manson tangent of it all. Did he ever murder? But I have issue with holding them accountable. I guess that gets into Pizzagate and what people believed, and then someone showing up at what was it, Cosmic Pizza?
I think that's what it was. Yeah,
It was a Cosmo. Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize for getting it wrong.
It's in the same.
And he
It's
was
in the same
looking
realm.
for the missing children in the basement, or the caged children in the basement or whatever. But there wasn't even a basement there. Yada yada yada. It's all tragic. It's really sad to see somebody so convinced of going to do something that is on some level virtuous. Like, he believes this and he's going to do it, but you've been deceived. And I think that it's so important to know the difference between something that you know, like personal, actual, real, firsthand knowledge, and what we have learned, and now is that secondary knowledge.
Well, but the social media companies have decided that people are not good enough. They're not good enough. They're not capable of doing that in mass, which they probably have a point. A lot of people don't have a very good distinction between fake news and real news.
They could help educate instead of telling us what we can and cannot know.
And they sometimes do that. Sometimes they put the weird fact check on the meme or whatever on Facebook.
That doesn't get follows though, Paul.
See, I think that's crap. I
still think that's better than disappearing it personally.
You mean the hey, this some context
Hey,
missing?
COVID's a scam, and then you see something underneath it like
some context
well,
missing.
COVID-19 policies refer to the WHO World Health Organization.
But that all strikes it. So I see what you're saying.
I said woo.
It's better. It's like we were talking about media, about old Looney Tunes, or what was this the specific thing we were talking about?
The Seuss?
There was a trigger warning essentially.
Oh, the Disney old
Disney,
just some Disney old films.
Old films and stuff.
Didn't Fantasia
That's better
have
than
one?
erasing them.
Fantasia did have one. Okay.
Saying,
I
hey,
thought
guess
it was
what?
better than Erasure,
There's some
yeah.
stuff in here that we as a society, we as people, we've all matured past and grown past, and it's in here. Let it speak for itself. We don't necessarily represent that anymore. I think that's. I think you and I were in agreement when we talked about that. Whereas that's way better than erasing it.
Yeah.
And acting like it never happened,
Yeah.
because there is some lovely art that's still out there. Anyway,
and I like the
what
block-
I'm saying
sorry,
is
that's a pivot. I was gonna say I like
there's-
blockchain
there's
because
probably
you can't
things-
censor things in the blockchain. It's just
there's
embedded.
probably things we could do to better equip people to be better thinkers for themselves, or arm them better or sharpen their own skill set.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, it's definitely
understanding things.
possible.
Instead of sitting there going, here's the fact check label, here's this.
Yeah,
which
but
is actually trying to
you're
tell
telling
them
me
how
that you
to
think that Facebook and Google and Twitter's what are they gonna do, brainwash us all? Then give us lectures and stuff. It's not really possible for them to do that though.
I'm just saying
It's hard for them to do that.
I bet they could be part of.
But the thing is, though, is that the people on the platform, we want to instill that into those people. But let's be honest, does education get clicks and follows? It doesn't. Does outrage? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How demonstrative can I be here?
Is some hot IG models.
And
Wow,
I
we get the
know
knowledge.
somebody.
I think you follow a few.
No, I
It's like-
haven't. They won't answer those DMs. Which everyone tells me it goes down in the DM, from what I've been told. And
It does?
It's not for me.
Not for you.
Not for me.
So anyway,
Actually, quick question: has anybody ever actually DM somebody just out of the blue, just being "Sup, girl"? No.
yes. What do you mean?
No, but I'm talking about
Shoot your shot.
Well, I'm saying shoot your shot. I did it to Mia Khalifa the other
That's why
day.
I
I'm
eat
just
that
kidding.
pineapple.
I'm just kidding. I never would. Oh, what a expert level troll.
Another amazing contribution of Lebanese to the American society.
I have to tell you, man. I don't honestly fan of her work, but her trolling is the best thing. It's honestly.
I don't know
it's
anything about. What do you mean?
Oh, are you talking about Mia Khalifa as a?
I'm going to listen. I have to use the
You're
bathroom.
saying
I have to
trolling.
as well. I was gonna say.
You're saying trolling.
Oh, so what?
Why'd you bring your phone?
It's one of those. It's one of those visits, huh?
But he didn't. He didn't bring his
I have
phone.
this thing.
For the record, there is no phone. Right there. What are these lies being told on my podcast?
We're live right
a
now.
good joke.
We are live.
I'm making the poster
We're live. I'm in the middle of a very good point here.
All right. I
So,
didn't know about trolling though.
That's another thing too. I always do that. I automatically go to the phone, even if it's a number one. I'm just take the phone. It's I'm not even gonna need it.
Oh yeah, I gotta read something.
Especially in public bathrooms. I need to just because there's always a guy that's a swear and he's just
Really?
It's how I imagine my bathroom visits. But so back to Mia. So Mia Khalifa, you know who she is, right?
I am
You're not
aware
familiar
of the names.
You're
yes.
okay. You're not familiar with any of her work, though.
Not particularly, but yeah. Okay.
No, you have good values, so that's good. So a majority of the time it would be athletes or famous people that would just slide in her DMs on Instagram.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and it would just be something very casual, what's up, girl? I'll be in Miami this week, kind of thing. It's funny because it'll be like things like that. It'll be like a guy that plays for the Miami Heat, and he'll be like, "I'll be in Miami this week," and it's like, "Yeah, no shit, you play there." Okay. So it's like things like that.
Like,
and
should we just clarify? This is like an adult film star.
Thank you.
I don't know.
I just sometimes when I say a
I don't
fan
know
of her work,
specifically what she's known for. Like,
she's known for.
She's just one of the most watched porn stars in history.
Yeah, and she didn't even work that long. She was in the industry, I think, for 2 months. Like that was it. Okay. And just started throwing out content, and now she's like one of the most viewed of all time.
Is that okay? Right.
So regardless,
she's retired, I think.
But like honestly, for you, in order for you to not know that, you like. Youthful people mention her name so casually that at some point
she's in songs. I mean, she is pop. She is in pop culture. Yeah. But what she would do,
a sign of the times. If
she was an expert level troll and an expert level like. What do you
mean by that?
So what would happen is these guys would DM them, and then she would take screen grabs and then post it on her Twitter and then other things. She would like
the most horny messages of all time,
and it would be the most degrading to. It would be all degrading to male stuff. So the guy would just be like, I know you need some of this, and then he wouldn't actually show it, but he'd be like, I'm packing this, and then she'd be like, actually, I got a boyfriend, and his dick game is A1, and it's just like. Stuff like that, and this guy is like, she's like, you couldn't hold a candle to him, and like stuff like that, like holding it, and then it would just be always the same kind of like desperation over and over again.
It feels like you're trying to impress a basketball player, like a professional basketball player, like LeBron James. You're trying to impress him with a nice basketball you just bought. Yeah. Like, yo, bet you never seen a basketball like this. Guy who's been surrounded by basketballs his whole life.
Guy that's literally been doing it your
guess
entire...
what you're not going to impress her with?
Yeah. The same thing that every guy talks about. It's like, wow, thank you. Insert username, name here. It's like, oh, you're also talking about your dick? Great, thanks.
Shocker.
Like, wow, thanks a lot. Like, it's like, can we like try something else? Like maybe a little intellectual conversation? Not even a lot. Hey, I noticed
Zach, now that you're single, you can totally slide the DMs as intellectually as you'd like to.
What I need to do,
what have you been working on? Have you been working on your?
All I've been doing is retweeting a lot of psychology books, and I've been retweeting a lot of stuff from like Aristotle, just to see if anybody would just be like, I noticed that he's an intellectual, and then I show him a dick. I'm kidding. I don't want to. Nobody should.
My favorite dick pic joke is Mr. Jackson's. He's got a bunch of great jokes.
We'll save it.
I used to have dick pic jokes too.
Yeah,
but
Jackson's is really funny.
I have never, ever sent an
Are you about to lie?
Announced dick pic,
unannounced.
No, that's or like a rant. Not even unannounced. That's
what is it? Walk in the room and it's just like, I'm here.
No, maybe the better word is like precedented. Like I don't think I've ever
I say unsolicited. Yes.
I've never done that before in my entire life.
And I gotta tell you, some of my girlfriends that will just. Some of my girlfriends that are single, like we were just out with some friends the other night, and like she just got a dick on her phone, and I saw it, and it was on because her phone was on the table. I go, that's a dick. Like it was just like my first reaction. I was like, what are you guys talking about?
It's long, it's pointy. I know what it is.
Yeah, I've seen it before. But she's
National
like,
Monument.
She's like,
penis.
She's like, I've literally talked to this guy for 2 hours. And I'm like, and I was like, and did you ask for said dick pic? She goes, nope, not interested in that. And I go, yeah, I don't think a lot of people are. That's why like half the time they're like, turn the lights off before you get in bed. Like it's just.
Jesus. Well, speaking of all this stuff, dude, how much longer until we're just all addicted to VR porn anyway?
I mean,
it'll just make all this DM stuff irrelevant.
Well, I haven't done it yet, so I don't know.
But
if anybody that has,
we just had Tony on. He told us VR is not going to be popular for a long time.
No, that is true.
They haven't cracked the code yet.
That is true that he said that, but it's on its way. And I can agree. Well,
Seems like
every year it gets better. People are using the Oculus Rifts and stuff in the PS4 or PS5 VR headsets, and it's like kind of good. It's on the way. I hear what he's saying. He's saying like, listen, man, in reality for heavy duty gamers, it's not like happening right now. But like, how much longer do they have VR porn available for mass use along with a flashlight? 10 years or less?
Yeah, I have a.
It might not be that good. It might be 2D.
They've got our best scientists working on it.
And sure they do.
Dude,
Especially the fleshlight.
Porn is more popular than ever, bro. I'm fearful for the youth, man, for the VR stuff. Once it gets so immersive like that,
I'm scared.
What are you going to need a real relationship for ever again?
I'm just scared to go on a web browser at this point. Like, that's how bad it is.
Oh, because your fingers just do it on me.
Yeah, I'll just start typing P's and X's, and I'm like, what the?
Stop!
And I'll be like, I was just trying to search, something that had the word.
That's the utility of being around other people. This whole, like, work from home, like, shtick is causing people to masturbate en masse. This is not good. Like, it's not good.
Hold on, I'm stuck.
Have you run the numbers on this?
There we go.
I read the numbers, I crunched them, and I realized that there's a reason why the sperm count is going down
I'm
worldwide.
gonna use the restroom, guys.
That's why 10-year-olds have ED. Like, it's just, it's crazy. But yeah, so not somebody that's ever really done it, but it's like, it's funny because like, I feel like the way that, so I kind of have a,
I don't think it's even possible. Really,
I have a COVID theory. Okay, so
no, it's gonna take it off YouTube again.
It's gonna take about an hour for me to tell. No, I'm just kidding. It's I have this theory. So like I think because of like the advancement of VR and the advancement of like all of the way that we can get products essentially just delivered right to our doorstep, so we never really have to leave home.
Yeah, we never have to leave anymore.
But that's the thing. Is like maybe this was just a exercise. Maybe it's a training exercise. You were stuck at home for a year.
All right,
let's
Alex.
see if we can survive. Let's see if we can survive.
All right, Zach Jones.
I'm just saying there's a distinct possibility that it is. I'm not saying that it actually is, but kind of is.
I think
it's very Allen Iverson practice here. Like, we're talking about practice, and it's because we've been doing it for so long. And it's like, and then as soon as they slap a VR headset on me, I'm just like, I mean, real women are cool, I guess, but they are gonna like ask me to go on dates and stuff.
Dude.
Let's go.
Real women are so much more difficult to DM and catch and date and flirt with and bring them flowers and take them out and pay for the bill
because they're
and get to know them
different.
and their emotion and their people too, so they have a whole personality to pay attention to.
You have to listen
not a
to the
fleshlight
conversation
at all.
I know
it's not even close.
What if it could talk, the fleshlight?
Oh god, it's so much easier.
How much better would life be?
Life would be so much easier if life was like VR porn, but it's not.
It's not.
And it's like all the time,
every time I dress up as a milkman, I just want to make sure that I am going to be able to, deliver my milk. You know what I'm saying?
That one came out of left field. Earlier, just full disclosure, you revealed to me that if you eat pineapples or other sweet fruit, never mind, people can look that up for themselves. Anyway,
I was just, I couldn't believe you didn't know that. I thought it was like common knowledge for like a guy that's just like, well, I mean, I got to do some like, you got to do some.
Let's just leave that one alone for now.
Research.
I want to wrap this one up, but I actually want to have one last question for you, just more personal, I guess, a little bit. Like as a comedian, this is the comedian roundtable episode, sort of, I suppose, with Zach Edward. What is your highest aspiration with comedy and in life, and what motivates you?
Let's see. Highest is to be the greatest of all time.
Wow,
I think
high.
Now that Seinfeld guy's pretty good. What's his name?
Carlin Pryor.
William
They sucked.
Burr? Is that what it is?
Oh, it was Chappelle. I think he was really
yeah.
good. He was
I thought it was Chappell.
tasteless.
William Burr.
And Joe, it's Rogaine. It's Rogaine, right? Yeah. It's Rogan.
And Bill Hicks turned into Alex Jones. And
Don't get me. Bill Hicks
It used to be Rogaine, but then it was too ironic when he went bald. So
yeah.
everyone wouldn't stop laughing to listen to him. So he had to go with Rogan.
Obviously joking. They're like every comedian is actually my hero because it's like no, seriously, like
a renegade of society.
As a renegade of society, you step on. You have a microphone and yourself, and you're just talking to people. So you're basically you're essentially.
Well, Karam and I would both like to say
you're
welcome.
It's persuasion. There's a lot of rhetoric. I mean, it's a lot of like really cool communication principles that you like wouldn't have thought of because you're just telling jokes about like your dick most of the time or whatever you're talking about that day, other parts of your body. So basically, it's like you just go into it. But Bill Hicks is a great example. He was. The more and more that I kind of go into like the darker parts of my brain, I'm just like, I have a lot of like Bill Hicks influence. I didn't really think about it. The only thing I don't have is like.
So you rail against ignorance.
I don't have the chain smoking on stage
religion
thing yet. Yeah.
Is that what you feel like a lot of your motivation comes from? Anti-conservative religion and like ignorance type stuff?
Yeah, but thinking about it in like a comedic way and just being like, he was the whole
the whole thing where like when the space aliens that are gonna land and like all the Hicks have all the Hicks have like guns. He's like, what are the guns for? He's like, well, in case they want to abduct us or whatever. And he's like makes a whole riff on that.
You think the gun's gonna help? Like, it's that whole thing, and
how he'd be begging for them to take him out of that shithole of a town.
Yeah, he has just a great bit about smoking because he smoked on stage.
I know
he was one of the I don't think he was one of the originators, but he was one of the first that was just like, this guy's just openly just like smoking a cigarette, talking to people as if
Sadly,
he was like
all the first generation of chain smokers on stage have all passed on.
Yeah, and it's mostly because
of throat cancer.
I see. He had pancreatic cancer, but I think
it may have been related.
I think it actually was related to the smoking.
Yeah,
the testing hasn't been done yet on that.
I believe it spread from his kidneys to the pancreas. I was reading about it the other day, and he had some really funny bits about smoking, really meta bits about being like, well, I tell all the non-smokers whatever, you're gonna die too, and all this stuff. But it's kind of too ironic because he ended up dying.
Well, that's the thing is that the troubled irony, and that's the biggest thing that Bill Hicks and historians always talk about, is that all the things that he talked about in this like sarcastic undertone are the things that did him in, and it's like it's just crazy because it's art imitating literal life. Like, it's like, all right, there's this guy who just wants to do what he wants to do. But like, he had this interview, I think he did like a British talk show, and he's like on the couch and he is just like piping cigarettes during the show, and, and the woman's like, you don't have to smoke. We actually prefer that you don't. And he's just like, I mean, it works for me. Like, he just does not care.
Well, Chappelle's been doing that shtick in the last couple of years. Where he'll be like, "Oh, am I allowed to smoke?" It's like, so witty.
Oh, David, you're so silly. It's like,
do you have like a weird vice that you want to gloat about on stage or something at any given point?
What do you mean?
Like the way that Bill Hicks is like, he's kind of self-righteously smoking ironically.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you have that? I don't know if I necessarily
I don't know if I have like a vice.
That. Like, you could call yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
whatever. Maybe it's not a vice, but I think smoking kind of was his vice, I guess.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm just like, it depends on how legal we get to for weed. Like, if I'm just like smoking a joint on stage and it's just like, what are you going to do? Arrest me? Like I don't know if we're ever going to get to that point. But
right.
I just think we might, though. I honestly think there's a distinct possibility that could happen. Like, it's just, we're essentially just making it cigarettes. Like, it's just, all right, he's just smoking a joint on stage. It calms his nerves.
I guess a lot of comedians have had drug problems. They've also, a lot of them have done lived these kind of renegade lifestyles. Like, if you look at like Lenny Bruce, he was shooting heroin and the rest of it. God, if you look at Pryor, he ended up doing so much freebase cocaine that obviously everybody knows famously he ended up lighting himself on fire. So like, it's almost
rhymed with his last name, so it was hilarious and sad.
I think part of it too is the attraction of being a rock star. Like, it's not the same thing as being a musician, but it's a kind of a rock star lifestyle if you somehow can make it. If you can swing it. And I think when I was younger, I was in a band. I had a taste of like the rock star lifestyle. If it was not really, but like I played shows. Yeah, I played shows and stuff, and like it was like I was like, oh my god, because after the show, you know what happens? Like, there's literally girls like there, and there's partying, there's drinking and everything. Yeah. And I kind of feel like comedy is a similar thing where a lot of comedians are like, hey man, if I can just get shit faced after the show every night.
We're just chasing the dragon.
And just chase the dragon and do whatever and come what have you and get the youth vision alive forever.
The thing is, though, is that the guys that were taking the hallucinogens and then actually chasing the dragon is really what's really kind of got a lot of people in trouble. Because it was like, oh, well, it seems like Bill there is really doing a lot of drugs. And it's just like, yeah, it's just him. Like, it became normalized to do that. It still is even today. Like,
to do the party lifestyle as a comedian.
The thing.
Well, the irony about it when I got to Syracuse, the Syracuse comedy scene was like nobody drank. Like, it was like this really chilled out scene. Almost nobody seems to drink it.
I would say I've never seen you do anything like besides breathe. Like, is that all? I've seen you breathe and eat. That's
guys. I got to tell you, never really done a lot of drugs, but the biggest high I know of is having a set go well. It's everything I want to chase.
I think in the case of you, Paul, I think you got into more healthy reasons. Like, you're like, I like making people laugh. I like staying up late. I like this and the other. I'm just saying that comedy for a lot of guys,
everything else failed, so let's do this.
I think a lot of comedians are like, hey man, like I like this lifestyle. I want to party every night, or like.
I'm not even totally. I can't even say I'm like in love with the lifestyle. I'm definitely a night. I guess it was a night owl. Is that like the actual term? But I like staying up late. I don't know if I'm like full-fledged insomniac, but like if I could stay up till all hours of the night on a regular basis, I'd probably be fine with it. Like, it's just I don't operate that great the next day, which I know that's that's detrimental.
Yeah, but the romantic dream of the comic is you get to sleep all day, get up,
it
go
is.
to a diner.
Let's just go to a diner at 11 a.m. and it's just like
shit, and hopefully whatever, maybe Bill Burr and Patrice O'Neill are there. It's like some sort of like perfect rendition of the early 2000s.
Hey, what are you guys doing
scene.
here? You know why we're here. Like,
Fuck you, motherfucker.
Yeah, I love romanticizing comedy. It's one of my favorite things to do too, because it's like I for the longest time never really knew like what do I do? Like what is kind of my thing? I was always the friend that would always try to make the other friends laugh. Maybe it was like a crutch thing for me because I was just like, maybe they don't like me, like, but or they do, and you just want to be that guy. But I was
played the comic relief.
I was playing the comic relief, but I was also like a very aggressive ball buster. Like I was always the one that was just like, don't talk about Billy's cast when he walks in, and then he walks in, and it's just like, fuck happened to your arm, dude? Like it's just like I just want to make sure. Yeah, so he would just be like, I broke it. It's like, yeah, I know. It's just adding the.
It's kind of like a desire to make sure that there's.
No weakness, almost.
It's almost like there's no weakness. You're testing for weakness, but you're also kind of like making sure there's no like. It's just breaking anything. The most negative thing, you can break it with comedy and laugh about it. It becomes funny.
Well, you take tragedy. You take tragedy and you turn it into art. It's like I mean, my life is not rainbows and unicorns, and if anybody's is, let me know, because I want to tell you to your face that you're lying. Something bad has happened at least once.
So is your highest aspiration to be on stage most nights and to be paying your bills with sets?
It's 100%.
And that's it, and that's that. And you're thinking about moving to New York. I know P's probably moving to Atlanta.
Yeah.
So you guys both have similar aspirations, but you want to do it in the Big Apple, you want to do it in the... Kentucky Fried South.
Kentucky Fried South.
The big what?
You want to do
it?
I think
Atlanta.
It's a great city.
It's a peach
great
state, right?
Atlanta.
George is the peach state? Yeah.
Yeah.
You just want to do it in the peach cobbler of Atlanta.
I got my weed in California. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's more power to you. You're going to finally do the big New York City dream.
Forgot about the beads.
I'm not sure what I'm going to choose, actually. It's funny. I also...
What if we have to do a sales pitch right now for which city you choose? He's going to Atlanta. I'm going to New York. And we have to say, all right, here we go.
Please, Zach first. Go ahead.
You want...
Go ahead.
I
you
see.
Pitch first.
You already have the pitch already set up. You're just like, warmer. And done. That's it. It's like that's a good argument. I'll make it for you, but
all right. So for all those who are considering whether to move to either specifically New York City or Atlanta, here's the New York side of things.
We don't have to do this, but what I'll say is that it's the best place to do art, all forms. Okay, mostly comedy because there's just more places to do it. And if you are somebody like myself who does like to hop around and just kind of I could be a bit of a squirrel, so I just kind of like to go and do things at all the different places. But it's the most opportunity available. Okay. No, the weather is not great. It's New York. We have lived up here long enough. Just buy a better jacket. Or
hey, at least you're gonna drive in it down there.
Yeah, that's the public transit. Although it's the New York subway or it's public transit. You're gonna.
All right, you got 20 more seconds. Go.
20 more seconds per. You're gonna get a lot of writing material just from like looking around you. You're gonna have every single step of every single block in New York. You're just gonna go, that was crazy. Look at this. Wow, look at that hair. Like it's just all the different things. And it's just all this crazy stuff. You're gonna see two people fight in front of you within the first 24 hours of maybe my feet on the ground there. And that's exactly what I need in my life. It's controlled chaos, but it's beautiful.
Okay, thank you. And now for the Atlanta pitch from P. Daddy Woods.
I will be there, and that should be enough for you.
Oh my God!
Do you love me?
Oh God!
CNN's headquarters.
That's actually a pretty good pitch.
The CDC's headquarters.
Oh, don't go.
The Walking Dead.
No, you don't want to go where
Probably
Fauci's
not anymore.
going.
Now that Georgia pissed everybody off in Hollywood, they're taking they're pulling out all the shows.
I don't think so. Atlanta's making everything.
New York's sounding pretty good right now too.
Yeah.
Freebasing
Tyler
cocaine,
Perry. Check
super
out Tyler
easy
Perry's.
in New York.
Oh my God!
Check out Tyler
I can light
Perry's
myself on fire like one of the greats.
movie studio and how gigantic it is. It's the biggest in the entire nation, and
Tyler
it's
Perry,
right outside of Atlanta, bro. We could work for Tyler Perry. You and me holding a boom mic for Medea, huh? You and me.
Cool, guys.
Look, guys, I got a key grip credit on Medea's family vacation. Like,
Looks like we made it.
I don't know, man. I think this whole Medea stuff's getting me really excited.
congratulations, you get the 96 credit of a ridiculous amount of credit movie. Like, it's just
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Or you could create your own magic in New York.
Oh my
Your
god.
very own YouTube special.
No, it's over.
with
You had
very
your pitch.
minimal
You
credits.
had your pitch.
Your name on the marquee.
So let the viewers decide.
Paul Wood will be there.
Oh,
That's it.
man.
That's what makes
I will be there, but I won't be there a lot, so you can also do stuff in the apartment if we share
Holy
an
cow, he's
apartment.
going for a whole
I'm
cohabitation.
not going for roommate,
See,
bro. I'm married.
See?
I already made a joke about this with you, though. Like, it's like you and your wife get in bed with me in the middle. Like, it's just like
Wait, you made that joke? When?
at some
Oh,
point.
there we go. I don't have kids or a wife, thus more privacy.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Wow.
Anywho, this has been the Deep Homie podcast. Or sorry, the Deep Homie Guide, to be more specific. The podcast that likes to talk about stuff, especially tech stuff and comedy and all the rest of it. Thank you, Zach Edward, for joining
Hey.
us today on the pod.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, P. Diddy Woods, for being your
It's a pleasure.
boisterous self.
Yeah.
Do you mind, before I go, can I plug a couple of things?
Go ahead and
Thank
plug-
you so
plug
much.
away.
I have a podcast. It's called the Wine Boyz podcast.
Yeah.
I host it with my co-host, the ever so talented Lord Gerald. Peace be with you. I'm at the Zach Edward on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find all of our information at Wine Boyz Pod. And that's basically all of it. Buy some t-shirts if you want to. It's at the bio in my Instagram and my Twitter.
You dropped some lovely headshots recently on on the Instagram side.
I didn't mean to drop them. I just put them right on there.
Yeah, you did,
but
didn't you? Yeah.
that would hey, shout out to Karam here for actually doing them. Like
I do stuff.
He's got a steady hand.
Karam makes stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been the Deep Homie Guide for April 26, 2020 with Zach Edward, P. Diddy Woods, Deep Homie K. Thank you for listening.
And now, the Deep
Oh,
Homie
no, that's
Guide
the
to the
wrong one.
21st century.
What, we're shorting again? We got to do it again? We didn't record? The camera lens was on? Oh, no!
Follow, subscribe, like.
Remember, keep it deep, homies.